How's it going, everybody? My name is Chase Teep and welcome to my channel. The topic of today's video is going to be 20 tips for frugal living in 2020 in under 20 minutes or less. I've got a list of basically 20 ways that have helped me save money in my life and hopefully can help you save some time and money in your life as well. They are basically just 20 random things that you don't have to see them in any particular order. You can pick and choose which ones you like, which ones you don't like. You can apply all of them in your life. You can apply none of them if you want. I just hope that some of these can help you find ways that you can save money in your own life and start living frugally now in 2020. And with that, let's get into it. Alright, tip number one is going to be try to do grocery shopping as infrequently as you possibly can. And when I say this, I mean like once per month or once every 2 months if you possibly can. Just try to do it as infrequently as possible. And really, the benefit of this one is the more time that you spend in grocery stores and shopping for food in general, the more likely you are to be tempted by something that you don't really need. Instead, just try to budget and place all of the food that you need on one list. Buy it that one time per month and get out of the store. Not worry about buying food or anything like that. The rest of that time you will not be tempted, and this will save you money in the long term. Tip number two is going to be to stretch your food supply as far as it can go. Try to test your limits. If you think that you don't have enough food for even another couple days, try to not go grocery shopping for another week. Try to stretch that food supply for that entire week and see how long you can last. What you'll find when you'll do this is actually that the food that you already have can last for way longer than you thought it could. Most people probably have some ways that they can actually make meals and survive for that entire week. You might even find that you can stretch that another week and not go grocery shopping again. And realistically, anytime that you can do this, you're going to save money in the long term by just pushing back that grocery shopping, pushing back that food bill as far as you can, and just stretching your food and seeing how little food you actually need to survive. Number three, another grocery related tip, and this one is going to be just buy the non-brand and store versions of any of the foods that you buy. Instead of buying the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, actually just try to buy the obvious ripoff of Frosted Flakes that are just non-brand. Those are going to be way cheaper, and honestly, there's like a 99% chance that you're not going to taste the difference between any of these products. All you're going to be doing is saving yourself some money while buying the exact same food, but just try to avoid those brand products as much as you can. You will save some money each time that you go shopping. Tip number four is one that I actually didn't know for a very long time, and I still can't believe that I didn't know about this earlier, but it's basically going to be Uber Pool or Lyft shared service whenever you possibly can. Unless you're in a real hurry and need to get somewhere by a very specific time, Uber Pool can basically get you to the same place in just maybe a slightly longer wait time, but for up to half the cost. And realistically, in my opinion, that's always going to be worth it. If you can cut that ride in half and just maybe wait a little bit longer or have that trip just take a little bit longer in general, you can cut that price by a lot. And this is especially useful for people who Uber or Lyft constantly and need to take those rides a lot of times in the day or in a week or in a month, whatever it may be. Try to Uber Pool or Lyft shared service as often as you possibly can. Number five, buy things in bulk whenever possible. And this applies to literally everything, whether it is going to be food, light bulbs, batteries, Himalayan salt lamps, like whatever you need. If you're going to buy a bunch of something and you know you're going to use it for a very long time, just try to buy it in bulk. This is something that not a lot of people do, but honestly, especially when it comes to food products, if you know that you're going to eat rice very often over the course of your life, why not just buy a 25-pound bag of rice that costs about the same as a bag of rice that'll last you like a month? The 25-pound bag of rice is going to last you for a super long time, and it'll become very much worth it the more often that you eat it. So anytime that you're going to buy something, especially when it comes to food, just try to buy it in bulk. Even if you don't think that it's necessary, it'll end up saving you money in the long term, which again is the goal of this entire video. Tip number six is going to be to buy shoes that you can wear everywhere. Instead of having one pair of shoes for hanging out with friends, one pair of shoes for running, one pair of shoes for hiking, one pair of shoes for nice events or anything like that, just try to buy a single pair of shoes that can work in every single one of those occasions. Shoes are something that really are expensive, and if you buy more and more and more, they're going to cost a lot of money, when if you really just buy that one pair of shoes, that maybe a slightly nicer pair that you can wear to all of these things, you won't have to buy any other shoes, which is a huge cost saver. And unless you're someone who routinely collects shoes for some other purpose, try to just buy that one pair of shoes that you will need for everything. It'll save you a lot of money compared to constantly buying new shoes for a different purpose. So just buy that one pair of shoes and run with it. Get it? See what I did there? A little bit of a pun. Yeah, hopefully you guys like that one. For most people who try to live frugally, they know that eating out at restaurants is almost never worth it compared to making your own food. And this tip is going to be host parties and events rather than going out and hanging out with people at a restaurant or a bar or a club or whatever it may be. Just try to host your own events, have everybody pitch in for some home-cooked meals, and it'll cost a lot less than going out ever would. And I'm sure you'll find if you do this pretty often, you can have just as much fun at your own place with your own meals than you could going out and hanging out with people somewhere else. And this tip can work with almost any type of gathering or social event, whether it's a party or just hanging out with some friends. You can save so much money doing it at home, and again, you will most likely have just as much, if not more fun doing it at home than you could going out. So just try this one out. This next tip is for people who like to read a lot or play video games a lot, or really anything that is like those items, anything that you can share with friends. My tip is to basically create a little group of friends that you can share these things with. If you're someone who loves reading and you know that you have a couple other friends who also love reading, just try to basically share books with one another. So a book that you've already read, you can give to one of your friends, and then you take one of their books that they've already read, and you basically just start trading books around to all of you. And what this does is it really cuts down on the actual price of buying books, because instead of you needing to buy all these books that you want, maybe one of them already has them and you can read that book. But if you find that none of you have a book that you really want to read, just buy it and then all of you can use it. Maybe you can even pitch in, cut that price by as many people as you have. If it's a group of 3, you're spending a third of the price on books as you normally would. Maybe if it's a group of like 10, you're spending a tenth of that price. So this is something crazy that will just stack and stack and stack the more people that you can basically put into this group to share things with. The next tip is to put all of your excess money, everything that you possibly can, into a high interest savings account. No matter how much money that you have laying around, don't just leave it in your bank account where it's not going to basically make you any money. Whether it's $10,000 that you have sitting around or it's $10, put it in a high interest savings account. This tip is going to provide 3 really beneficial things for you. For one, it's going to make you money in the long term. The longer that you keep that money in that high interest savings account, the more money it's going to make you over the course of it sitting there. The second thing is that this will actively encourage you to put more money in that savings account. When you see it start to make some money for you, just passively without you needing to do anything, that's really going to motivate you to put more money into that savings account. And again, that's just going to make you more money in the future. The third thing that this will do is it'll put money in a place that where you're not tempted to take it out of that account and spend it on something that you might not need. This is going to make a lot of your purchases in the future a lot more intentional, because you know you don't want to pull money out of a savings account unless it's for something that's really, really important. So that's a 3-fold tip that can help you a lot, whether you have $10,000 waiting or just like $10. Just try doing this one and see how it works for you. Tip number 10, we are halfway there. This one is going to be avoiding like all organic foods. Just buy the non-organic versions of most foods. Unless you religiously stick to buying the organic foods for just some reason other than the price, you're not going to notice much of a difference between the organic and non-organic foods. However, you will notice a difference in the price of both. You can save lots of money by just avoiding those non-organic products, whether it's the organic bananas or the organic chicken breast. You can end up saving so much money every single time you go to the grocery store by just avoiding those organic food items. Number 11, if you use batteries in your life, whether it's for the TV remote or for like some video game controller, whatever it is, if you use batteries, rechargeable batteries are always going to be worth their cost. This is especially true if you use those items that need batteries lots, because over time you're just going to have to buy more and more batteries, which are kind of expensive really, if you have to buy them constantly. Buying those rechargeable batteries is always going to be worth it. So just do that, take that extra cost in the beginning to buy the rechargeable versions of them, and just see the benefits in the future when you don't have to buy like the $30 pack of batteries. Moving on to number 12, this one is going to be try to avoid buying meat as often as you possibly can. I've talked about this a bit on a prior video, so you can click on this one up above to see it's one of those things that I just don't buy. But basically, just try to avoid meat. It's a super expensive part of your diet, and realistically you can substitute that out with a lot of things that provide protein and other like essential vitamins and minerals and anything like that. You can substitute it out with things like beans, lentils, really lots of other things that are cheaper and provide the exact same nutritional benefits. So realistically, meat is just something that's expensive. And by the way, I'm not like a vegan or a vegetarian who's telling you to quit meat entirely. I just try to avoid it at grocery stores because I know that I can buy other things that are cheaper but still provide as much in terms of nutritional value. All right, tip number 13 is for anybody who has any type of loan or is in some type of debt. If you ever see a loan with a lower interest rate than the one that you currently have, buy it. Go into it, take out that loan, pay off the existing loan that you have, and that'll save you money in the long term. Let's just say you owe student loans of about $20,000 and each one of those loans has like a 7% interest rate. If you find a loan that you can take out with a 3% interest rate, do it. Take out that loan, pay off the entire $20,000 balance that you used to owe with a 7% interest rate, and now you owe the exact same amount but with a 3% interest rate. That is going to save you money in the future and right now. And realistically then, keep looking for a loan with maybe a lower interest rate than that. Just keep going and going and going until you have the lowest amount and the lowest interest rate that you possibly can, and then pay it off. It's going to save you money in the long term if you are constantly on the lookout for things like that that can save you in terms of interest rates. Number 14, this is a big one for anybody who pays for utilities, gas, electricity, water at their apartment or home or whatever it may be. This one's massive for anybody who pays for those. Run your dishwasher and your laundry machine, both washer, dryer, and other big appliances like that, in the middle of the night or super early in the morning. These are called off-peak hours, and basically they're going to be charging lower rates when you run those appliances at those times than they would if you ran your laundry at like in the middle of the day when everybody else is also running their laundry. So doing this can save you every single month on your utility bill, your gas bill, your water bill, your electricity, all of those, by just running these at strange off-peak times. Tip number 15 is almost the exact same thing as the shoe tip that I had earlier, but this one is for bags. If you're someone who bought a backpack for your school, a backpack for hiking, and then a duffel bag for traveling, and then a different bag for traveling, if you just have a bunch of those bags, try to siphon those off into just one bag for everything that you need. Just buy a bag that you can use for traveling, for school/work, for any types of little trips with friends, for hiking, for anything like that. Just buy one bag that you can use for all of those things. It'll save you lots of money in the long term because you don't have to buy like 4. You're just buying the one. You can use it for everything. And again, that's the point. You're going to save a lot of money just by not buying those other bags. Tip number 16 is going to be look at the used or like new products on Amazon. Most of the time, if you're buying something, buying a used version of it is going to cost a lot less and realistically won't be much of a difference to you. This is true for so many things like books, cameras, iPhone accessories, anything like that. Just look at the used or like new ones, see how much money you could potentially save, and then ask yourself, is it really worth it to buy the new product? Most of the time, buying the used one, saving some money right then and there is going to be more worth it than just buying the new product. Tip number 17 is going to be for anything that you don't need for a very long while, for anything that you need to buy but are going to not need it forever, try to sell it as quickly as you possibly can. The first thing that comes to my mind when it comes to this tip is things that you have to buy in college, something like the college textbook that you need for one entire calendar year, but then right when that class ends, it's of no value to you. The sooner that you sell that textbook, the more money you are going to get. The longer you wait, the more likely it is that a new edition comes out or the class stops using that book or whatever it may be. The sooner you sell that book, the better it is going to be for you and the more likely you are to actually get money back on that investment that you were forced to make. But really, this just works for everything, any type of electronic as well. The sooner that you sell it once you realize you don't want it anymore, the more money you are going to make. So anything that you want to sell, just immediately jump on it, sell it as quickly as you possibly can. Tip number 18, for people who are traveling, try to look into buying hostels instead of hotels. You're going to end up saving a decent amount of money when you're booking hostels instead, and then you can also meet new and interesting people on your travels and do all kinds of things like that. But realistically, the part that I'm talking about that is most important, in my opinion, is going to be that you save a bunch of money and just still get a place to stay, and realistically, that's all you need. Along the same vein as that, anytime that you're looking to move to a new city and potentially buy into something like a lease or a contract, actually look at buying an Airbnb for an extended stay instead of an apartment or a condo or a house or whatever it may be. Not only will this save you money in the short term by spending less on Airbnbs, which are surprisingly cheap when you book for long stays, but it'll also give you a lot more freedom. Let's just say you want to leave halfway through your stay. Well, if you're locked into a 12-month lease, it's going to be very difficult for you to leave. You'll have to find a sublet. But if you buy an Airbnb for an extended stay, you have a little bit more freedom where you can leave whenever you might want to, or if you need to leave, you can. And because of those two facts, it gives you a little bit more freedom and it saves you money. I totally think that this is something that is worth it. So if you're looking to move somewhere for the first time, look into it. Look into Airbnbs and hostels as potential alternatives to hotels and leases. Tip number 19 is to bring your own food to events, maybe even social gatherings. Like, let's just say when you're at work, a lot of your coworkers like to go out and eat together at a restaurant. Try to bring your own lunch, which is going to cost a lot less as a homemade meal than buying something at a restaurant, and just bring that to the exact same gathering, to the exact same event. Some people might think it's a little strange at first, but after a while, it really doesn't matter that much. People aren't going to care that you bring your own food instead of buying something at that restaurant. Realistically, all you're doing is just saving yourself some money in the long term, which is something that you should absolutely be looking to do all the time, especially when it's so easy as just bringing a packed lunch. And the last tip I've got for you, the 20th tip for frugal living in 2020, is a bit of a strange one admittedly, but basically tell people what you want for gifts. Not only are you going to get exactly what you want every single time that it comes around, like your birthday or Christmas, but you're also going to end up saving yourself money, because usually getting that gift is going to mean you don't have to buy it for yourself, and that saves you money. So a lot of people don't want to do this. They like to just kind of be surprised by their gifts. But if you're looking to save money, just tell people what you want. You might get that gift, and that saves you money, and it lets you know that you're going to get exactly what you wanted in the first place. But there you guys go. That is exactly 20 tips for frugal living in 2020 in under 20 minutes or less. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you found any of these 20 tips useful or helpful in any way, or even all 20 of them, then absolutely turn that like button blue before you go. Remember to subscribe if you don't want to miss another video like this. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so subscribe so you don't miss a single video. Comment down below if you liked any one of these tips, and if you have more to add, just comment and say tip number 21 and then write out whatever tip it may be. That would be awesome if we could get a whole thread of new tips down in the comment section below for frugal living in 2020. But with that, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you all next time.